we are going to be looking at personal efficacy and success strategies. And we have in our midst Val Okafor. This is a personal success strategy. Val Okafor, you have the floor. Val.
Okay. Right. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Val.
Okay. Thank you very much. I guess network is just trying to prove very difficult, but we just have to hit the ground running. Yeah, since others are going to join this class, I guess we don't have to waste more time. We're already 20 minutes past the time. But we're good to go. We're good to go. Galaxy A20. Do you mind typing your name in the comments so that I know? Because this class is now for I'm going to be calling your name basically. So do you mind typing your name in the comment section so that I know that, okay, I know your real name. And then let's make it interactive. If you can hear me, your display name is Galaxy A20. If you can just type your name in the chat box, I would see it, and we can have interaction.
Can you please say your name?
Well, my name is Bello Omar from Kaduna. How are you?
I'm doing great, Omar. How is Kaduna today? Thank you very much. How is Kaduna today?
We are fine, honestly. Despite the weather has changed, very hot.
Oh, wow. I guess it's the same thing for every one of us. In the north, most especially, I'm currently in Jos, and the weather has really changed. People are now becoming hotter and hotter by the day. You're welcome.
Nice to be with you in this platform.
Thank you very much, and it's my immense pleasure to be with you on this platform tonight. So I'm not going to waste your time. I'll just delve into what we have today, and I really want to thank the trainers who have come before me and those who will come after me, and then of course the organizer of the event under the umbrella of the Emerald Consult. So this training is for educators, people who have something to do with other people by way of teaching, by way of impacting knowledge, by way of transferring wisdom. So the conversation we're going to be having tonight will be centered on personal efficacy and success strategies, personal efficacy and success strategies. So yes, the second part is dependent on the first part. The success strategy is dependent on the personal efficacy, right? So I'm going to be asking you a question, Mr. Omar. Have you ever felt any challenge? Have you ever experienced any difficult situation? Have you ever experienced a time in your life when you think or you thought, oh, the world has ended and this thing shouldn't happen to you? Have you ever felt that way before?
Wow. Honestly, I'm a lucky guy. I'm having been in such kind of situation.
Wow.
In life, whereby I would feel that everything has shattered, and I don't have hope I don't have, I've never experienced such thing.
Mm, mm. That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
I thank God
Now,
for that, honestly.
yeah, yeah. So, but here's the thing. Do you know that a lot of people, and maybe you may not have experienced it in this magnitude of, oh, all hope is lost, the war has ended, but there are certain goals you set for yourself that you weren't able to achieve. There are tiny vision you had for yourself, but oh, you didn't really meet up those visions. You didn't really meet up those goals. Has that ever happened
Uh,
to you?
yeah. There are such type of things, honestly, because I could remember when I was in secondary school, my mission, my ambition is to be a medical doctor, but I found myself to be an educator, and then
Mm,
there's sometimes you'll be waiting for another thing, but your destiny will be on another thing. And
yeah.
I'm doing great in this field, and I've never regretted it.
Mm, amazing. I'm happy that you're doing great in this field. All right. Now, just like I said, human beings, in fact, life generally is filled with ups and downs. Life generally is
Yeah.
filled with challenges. Life generally is not easy, especially right now, the situation we find ourselves. People barely eat.
Honestly,
People barely eat. People barely go to school. Right now, schools are chasing people's students out of school because they need to pay their school fees. If they don't pay their school fees, then it will be
yes,
difficult to pay the teachers. And then on the part of the
yeah,
parents are saying, we don't have the money. We don't have the money to
quite
pay the
alright.
school fees. We don't have the money to buy the books. And so
Yeah,
the situation is now very terrible. And so it looks like if you
yeah,
are able to eat 3 square meals, you're a rich man or a big man.
quite
That is
alright, quite
the
alright.
level that we have gotten to. And these things make people to start thinking and worrying and saying, oh, why is this thing happening to me? And some others who do
Yeah,
not have a very tough and agile mentality, they'll start committing suicide. They will slip into depression, they'll slip into sadness, and then
yeah,
they'll consider
yeah.
other options they think will be able to help them out of those terrible situations. Okay. And it's very important that we're having this conversation on personal efficacy because definitely, definitely on your journey to greatness, on your journey to the limelight, to the zenith, to the peak, there are terrible challenges that you have to face, that you have to
Quite
confront
alright.
to be able to
Yeah,
get to the next level, either in your career
yeah,
or your family or your
yeah,
business. Okay. And so,
yeah.
as we talk about personal
And
efficacy,
as yeah,
it's
and
very important
especially
to,
especially as a school owner, we face this kind of challenges you're just
yeah,
mentioning.
exactly, excuses upon
Paying staff
excuses.
salary very difficult. Parents, different types of parents. Some parents
Yeah,
are willing to pay their school fees as lend you, while others, due to difficulty, the way the economy is, they find it very difficult to pay school fee. And we are
exactly.
always in this challenge. Sometimes you used to use some of your personal money to be able to
Run your
settle your
business.
stuff.
Yeah,
And when you're a school owner, for you to succeed is unless and until you have passion for education. If not, it's not easy, honestly.
exactly.
This one is really a
Yeah.
challenge for me.
Exactly. So yeah, thank you very much, for confirming what I'd said earlier that in life generally there are ups and downs in business, in family, in career. And so as you
Yeah,
keep moving to achieve self-actualization, that peak where you want people to look at you and draw inspiration and motivation, definitely you will pass through hurdles. Okay. And so personal
yeah,
efficacy becomes handy, it becomes very pertinent for every one of us, irrespective of your career. So learn
yeah.
what personal efficacy is about. So I'm going to be sharing with you and with others who will join later and see this video to understand what personal efficacy is, it's the ability for somebody to believe in his capacity to succeed in any situation. That is what personal efficacy is about. That belief you have in your capacity to succeed in any given situation. That's what personal efficacy is about. It is more psychological if you look at it critically, because it has to do with the mind. It has to do with belief system. It has to do with mentality. It has to do with attitude. And I really love this conversation because I know that right now, a lot of people are going through terrible challenges, painful experiences, and they're like, somebody who may watch this video will say, Val, seriously, I'm in a very deep situation that I cannot help myself. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling tired. I want to give up. I'm fagged out. This business is not working. The marriage is not working.
Right.
The staff are not cooperating. And these things are trying to run you crazy.
Honestly.
This is why we're having this. This is why we're having this conversation tonight. To help you believe.
Particularly, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you.
I said particularly during this pandemic, this Corona period pandemic, a lot of school owners we really suffered. Very late, in fact, very nil support from any angle, while the staff are there waiting for you to give them salary.
Yeah,
I really pity them. It depends solely on you to pay them salary. Now there is no school. Schools are closed down, and most parents cannot pay. They also, their business also is affected. So there is no way they don't have enough for them to even be able to pay their school fees.
Yeah,
that period was a horrible period for us.
And so I'm going to ask you a question now. Okay, so somebody joined. Imam and Haniyat joined. Thank you for joining. You were just a little bit late, so if you can unmute yourself, tell us your name and where you're joining from. Imam and Haniyat.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Val.
Good evening. You're welcome.
My name is MM. And I'm joining from Abuja.
Awesome. How's the FCT today?
Very well, but we don't have light power. There's power outage and fuel.
Oh, in the FCT?
Yes.
Oh wow. I'm so sorry about that.
Thank you.
About that. Okay, so I'll come back to you, MM. I'll come back to you. So let me hear from Haniyat. Okay, she's joining from Abuja. Can you speak? Oh, you can't unmute yourself. Oh wow. Could you tap the mic? Just tap the mic close to the video option. Let's see if you can. Okay, I guess she's having some technical issues. Well, I learned that you joining from Abuja. So back to you, Imam. So what do you do?
Okay, basically I'm a teacher. Let me start that way. I'm a teacher, but I love to encourage continuous personal development. So I also do conduct trainings for teachers. My focus is the needs of teachers. So that's what I do. I'm a teacher and I'm head teacher. Let me use that word.
Fantastic. Yeah.
The school where I work. Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, wow. I love the fact that you conduct training for teachers. I do that also through my company, the Value Cover Company. We have what is called Service Excellence Training and Workforce Activation. So we've done training for up to, say, 80 teachers so far. And it's been really fantastic. And I'm happy to have you here. Mr. Umar from Kaduna is a school owner and Miss Imam is also a teacher. So I mean, we are all in this business together. So before you joined, Haniat, sorry about your audio. I'm so sorry about your audio. I would really love to hear you out. So, but you can type in this comment section what you do, so we all be on the same page. So before you joined, Imam, I was talking with Mr. Omar. We were sharing some stuff about personal efficacy and how that people
Efficacy?
currently.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
yeah, I'm
Okay,
with
yeah. So
you.
I'm just trying to reiterate what we discussed, okay, before I go over to the next point. So I was talking to him about how that currently
Personal.
people, just like you mentioned.
Network. So when the time in attendance was hello?
Yeah, I guess it's network
Oh,
challenge from his end. Yeah.
Okay, so you are going extra work to of our brothers and sisters who cannot learn the way we learn. I celebrate you and you're welcome to this amazing platform. So as I was saying, people are going through hell, and for you to be able to pay for transportation, you have to dip your hands in your pocket, very, very deep, deeper than what you've been doing before. So a place where you could go easily with 200 naira, now you're going there with 500 naira, some 600 naira. So even to order a ride now, Uber or Bolt, it's considered as luxury. I was discussing with Mr. Omar before you joined that people now see eating 3 square meals as luxury, as being a big man or a big woman, when it's not supposed to be so. And these situations can make somebody to go crazy, can make somebody to think about committing suicide, can make somebody to start questioning their abilities and start asking questions like, God, why is this happening to me? Am I the worst person on earth? Who did I offend? And these are situations that can struck your business, your marriage, your career, and then you start questioning your abilities as a person. And just like Mr. Omar confirmed that in 2020, his staff were waiting for salaries. Yes, because you have to pay them. However, you are paying and not receiving. I remember that time students were out of school. School wasn't operating, you understand? So, but then you have to pay your teachers. Where would this money come from? I believe that when it's getting to 29, 30th, 31st, Mr. Omar's heart will be doing boom, 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 boom. He's going to be thinking, he's going to be thinking,
yeah,
oh, how
yeah,
do I get
yeah,
how do I get the
you are
money to
right,
pay this
honestly.
stuff? Yeah. And you're going to be
Yeah, you
thinking,
are right,
how
honestly.
how
I,
do I
I
pay
need
this
to,
stuff,
I have to be taking my BP drugs then.
Oh my God. So it's really challenging. And to be honest with you, there are a lot of people currently who are passing through that situation. And it's very important to remind ourselves of this topic. That is why this topic is coming now, personal efficacy. We were just born with that ability to bounce back. And I'm going to talk about this as the conversation goes deeper. So this is just like a recap of what we discussed. So now back to you, Mr. Omar.
Yeah.
In that 2020, that time you were paying salaries without students coming to school. What was the experience for you and how did you bounce back?
Well, it wasn't easy, honestly. It has reached a point where even the salary I cannot even pay anymore. Um, the first, because the school was closed down for almost 8 months.
Yeah.
And the first 5 months I was able to pay, honestly, but the subsequent month I'm now started paying half salary, and then it has reached a point whereby I cannot even pay anymore. Because my staff, most of them, they're with me for over 15 years, and then they have never had such an experience whereby I delayed their salary. So they really sympathize with me, and then with the grace of Almighty, we pass through it. Then
Wow.
then I pay them arrears later when things comes
Stabilized.
back to normal.
Yeah.
When things
Wow.
stabilize.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. So, Imam, Miss Imam, let me ask you this, particularly in your field as a teacher. How did you feel like this is for Miss Imam now? Thank you very much, Mr. Omar, for sharing your experience. So, as a teacher in 2020, what was the
it has
experience
been
for you?
unfortunate things. Hello.
Okay,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
It has been,
Go ahead. Sorry, Miss Imam. Sorry, Miss Imam. I'll come back to you.
No problem. It's fine.
Very unfortunate. It has been a very unfortunate situation because I have some of my friends that also are school owners, but during that period, honestly, their school crashed down, and up to now, I'm talking to them unable to restart the school. I'm just a lucky person, honestly.
Terrible.
I really sympathize with this.
Okay. All right. So let me go over to Ms. Imam. Back in 2020, what was the experience for you as a teacher who was expecting payday? And then just share with us. Let me know it's been working.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. And just like Mr. Omar said, it hit the teachers so very well. It was huge. It affected most people. For me, although I wasn't depending on my monthly salary alone, so that helped me. But for my friends and colleagues that depended on the salary alone, what they earn, it swept them off balance because the pandemic just came gradually, and then it took a huge wave, and then things was thrown off balance. So for me, it wasn't easy. I had to stay at home, and then school came up with virtual teaching, online teaching using educational digital tools, and we had to upgrade. And for me, the part where it affected me was my psychology. It was not the financial aspect, but psychological. I saw the world like it was coming to an end, thinking about my students, my learners, people I meet, the children I see, the faces I see. So, and things where the lockdown came, we were at home. For me, it was the psychological part. But for the financial part, it's not really bad. And I bake, I do pastries. So I started producing chin chin. I supply to supermarkets in our estate because I know that people want to eat, so I went into that. I was doing that, and but it affected my psyche, my emotions, my psychology. I wasn't normal because I can't see myself being restricted from movement, doing the things that having a normal life. So it affected me that way. And for my friends, I didn't have some money to give to them. Some will come to you, babe, what's up now? Share with me, all of that. So when I don't have to give, I feel so bad. That was when I knew that even when you're comfortable with what you have, if you cannot really share it with others, that means you don't have. You don't have. Yeah. So it affected me a whole lot. And then just like Mr. Omar had said, in my estate here, so many schools packed up. They closed down sincerely. And so many teachers relocated to another region, another area. Some moved back to the village, and some up till now, they're not yet back. So it affected me. I lost friends. It was a new world, like so many things changed. And then working, and sorry, I'm in a meeting. And then working, sorry about that, please. Sorry, it's okay. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
Working remotely, it was the psychology for me. It affected me. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't do the things which I used to do. So for me, it was not just the financial part, but the psychological part. So that was my experience. And it's almost made me to give up, but then I don't know, somehow God helped. So for me, it was the
No,
psychological part. Yes, sir.
amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. I believe that those who will see this recording later would be able to draw inspiration from what you've shared with us. So I don't know if Mrs. Haniyat can now unmute herself and speak. Can you try that now to see if it works? Can you unmute yourself? Are you able to do that? Okay. If you're not able to do that, you could just be putting it in the chat section. How? Oh, till now, what if the technical team tried to unmute you themselves? Let's see if it works. Um, if Mr. Diola is there or somebody from the technical team, just could you try to
I'm there. I'm there. I've been trying to do that. It's not working.
Oh wow! Oh wow! Oh wow! All right, so let's go ahead. Maybe Mrs. Haniyat, sorry, it's not working. I guess it's a technical issue. So, boy, just feel free to put it in the chat section briefly or summarily how it was for you. You know, the whole experience and how you bounced back. So while you're doing that, I want to talk about another thing before we have um, another conversation, right? And I mentioned that this personal efficacy thing is psychological. It's about your attitude, it's about your mindset, it's about your mentality. Now, for Mr. Umar, other schools closed down, other other schools shut down, but you were able to thrive, you were able to come back, you were able to still run your activities, right? For Miss Imam, your colleagues, most of them lost their jobs. And I know that for Mrs. Haniyat, you must know some persons who, in that terrible situation, lost their jobs. Some of them, they weren't expecting that they will come down from the height they were operating on to a very surprising level. People who were depending on them became their supporters. A lot of things happened, in that situation. How people bounced back, how they came back to who they really are, took the right attitude, took mentality, a superior mentality at that, took, you know, a mindset that has to do with personal efficacy. Remember, I said the personal efficacy is the belief you have in your capacity to succeed in any given situation. The belief you have in your abilities to succeed in any given situation. So here's an illustration I'm going to share. Now, I wrote this evening while I was going through my notes. I just scribbled down. I said, it takes a success mentality to become successful, and then it takes a failure mentality to become a failure, right? You can put two people in a company today, one will succeed and one will fail. One will be at the head and one will be at the tail. The difference between these two set of people is simply their mentality, their mindset, and how they think. And so I just wrote today that success mentality equals to successful life, then failure mentality equals to a failed life. And then I remembered the story of the lion and the elephant, and then the story of the eagle and the chickens. And so let me just tell you that story briefly. Many years ago, Mother Eagle had her eggs laid just somewhere at the foot of a mountain, and then she flew away in search of food. And then before you know it, there was heavy storm, and that made the eggs to roll into a chicken farm. All right. Now, when the eggs rolled into the chicken farm, the please mute yourself if it's just joining. You're welcome, Zainab Ayola. I'll come back to you, right?
She has been muted. She has been muted.
All right. I'll come back to you, Zainab Ayola, for your introduction. Let me just finish this story. And so the mother hen looked at this egg and was wondering the size of the egg. She has never seen this kind of egg before. And then but she said, okay, no problem. She brought some of the eggs and then sat on them. After 21 days, the chicken began to hatch. It takes 21 days for an egg to hatch, and then the chicks came out from the various eggs, and then it was time for the eagle to come out, and the eagle came out and saw himself in this beautiful family of chicks. Everybody was, looking alike apart from him. He looked at his body, he looked at himself, he was different from them, his color different, his beak different, his claws different, everything about him was different. But then he couldn't imagine how he found himself there. But then life had to go on, right? So they started picking corn, grain, rice here and there, eating worm, eating all manner of food. The eagle thought he belonged to the chicken family. He thought, these are my brothers. I'm supposed to behave like them. And so they will go out in the morning to look for grain, and then they'll pick grain, pick grain. At night, they will come back. And on and on and on and on, this eagle was behaving like a chicken, right? One day, a farmer came and he looked into the pen, he looked into the house where the chickens were, and noticed something different about this particular bird. And he said, this bird is an eagle. What is an eagle doing in the midst of chickens? And then he called on the farmer and said, come, let me show you. Are you aware that this is an eagle and not a chicken? The farmer said, well, I know, but look at, he's a chicken. He's eating corn, he's eating grain, he's picking all manner of things, he's eating worm, he's behaving like chickens. Can't you see it? The farmer said, no, I know that this is an eagle. Though he has found himself in the midst of chickens, that does not remove the mentality he has originally as an eagle. That does not remove the ability it has originally as an eagle. The farmer said, please forget about this thing you're talking about. Just keep this eagle. Let's just go. Let them eat their food and all that. He said, no. This is not a home for this bird. It turned out to be an argument. It turned out as though they were disagreeing on some certain things. So he left the farmer and went his way. The next day he came back. He said, have you considered what I told you about this strange bird in your pen? He said, young man, leave me alone. I've told you that this eagle is already a chicken. Can't you see how he's moving about, eating corn, eating grain, eating worm, trying to survive like other chickens? But this farmer was resolute. He said, this is an extraordinary bird. And then on the third day, he came back, he said, you know what you're going to do for me? Allow me to take this bird to the foot of the mountain. Allow me to remove this bird from where he can see the chickens. Allow me to remove this bird from where he can see corn and grain and worm. Let me take him to the foot of the mountain. The farmer said, you can do whatever you want to do. I have told you times and again that this bird, though you call him an eagle, is a chicken. And it was like a deal. And that third day, this man came, picked up the bird, went to the foot of the mountain and spoke to this eagle. And here was what he said. He looked at the eagle and said, eagle, oh eagle, thou art an eagle, stretch forth your wings and fly. Eagle, O eagle, thou art an eagle, stretch forth your wings and fly. The eagle turned and looked at the chickens. He looked at the corn. He looked at the grain. He looked at the worm. He said in his heart, oh, I'm going to miss this. I'm going to miss this. You know what he did? He flew back right into the pen where other chickens were, and he continued. And then the farmer started laughing. He said, I told you there is a chicken already. I told you. Stop wasting your time. That other farmer didn't give up. He said, no, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. This is a special bird. This is a special breed. Okay? It's an eagle. He belongs to the skies. He belongs to the firmament. He does not belong here. He's supposed to be eating flesh and not chickens, and not corn, rather, and not grain, and not struggling to eat worm. He said, give me tomorrow. And then he came the next day. The farmer was just laughing at him and saying, you're just wasting your time. And then he came back and took the eagle again, right? This time around, he went far from where he was the other day, where this eagle will not be able to see the other chickens. And then he went there and spoke to this eagle and said, eagle, oh eagle, thou art an eagle, stretch forth your wings and fly. He said it the first time, the second time, the third time. Now, the eagle looked, he couldn't see the chickens anymore. He couldn't see the grains anymore. He couldn't see the corn anymore. He couldn't see the worm anymore. There was no option other than to try to replicate what he has been hearing. And then he looked up into the sky and stretched his wing, and before he knew it, he flew far into the sky. And the farmer folded his arms and laughed and said, that is where you belong, and not with these chickens. And guess what? This eagle started feeding on those chickens, which was his rightful meal. And you know, this story reminds me of the fact that if you follow chickens, you will have chicken mentality. Remember that this eagle was an eagle, but was eating corn, millets, struggling for warmth. And you know that the chicken is an emergency bird. It's, if something happens now, it will just do pa, 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 and then right back, remain on the floor. It only flies during emergency. It only flies when he has looked here and nothing is happening, and then he tries to fly, but you know what? The weight of the sand he has been eating over the years will pull him down. You know, and so if you, as an eagle, follow chickens, you will end up in the kitchen. Wow. If you follow chickens, you will end up in the kitchen. It's about mentality. It's about attitude. That's why, you know, personal efficacy is very important for everybody. And most importantly, for educators. The ability to believe in your capacity. I believe what was going on the mind of that eagle was, okay, let me try. Let me exercise who I really am. Let me flap my wings to see if I'm going to soar. And he did. He did soar, okay? He did flew right into the air. He never returned. He never returned to join the chickens. And so why this first story is that a lot of people are going to be saying, you know, if it's only to sleep and you wake up, Just be happy. If only sleeping and waking up is what you can do, just thank God. No, that's not the mentality you need to survive. So, and then want to make it to remain a mediocre. No, those are chickens talking, right? Do you know it's in adversity, a strong man. It's when the storm is raging. That's where a very good sailor, a good captain, is when the turbulence is more. That's when you know who a good pilot is, and how whether he's very skilled. Not when everything is rosy, not when all the going is smooth. No, you wouldn't be able to tell if this pilot is great. You won't be able to tell if this sailor is great. You will be able to tell if this man is really strong. Story one has ended. Story two, the lion and the elephant. The lion is considered to be the strongest animal in the jungle. Without any election, the lion is the king of the jungle. But have you asked yourself, why is the lion the king of the jungle? The lion is not the fastest animal. The lion is not the strongest animal. The lion is not the smartest animal. Yet, it's the king. Yet, when he shows up, every other animal tend to run. Come on now, think about it. The cheetah is the fastest, the dolphin is the smartest, and possibly the elephant or the rhino is the strongest. And then the serpent is also the smartest, like snakes. They're very subtle, they're smart. But why is the lion still the king with all of these limitations? I'll tell you the answer. Mentality, mindset, attitude, personal efficacy, how you carry yourself, how you see yourself. So when the lion sees the elephant, guess what he's seeing? He's not seeing a giant animal. He's not seeing an obstacle. He's not seeing a limitation. He's seeing breakfast. He's seeing breakfast. He's seeing lunch. He's seeing food. But when the elephant sees the lion, he's seeing, oh, killer, traitor, predator. It's about mentality. It's not in your size. It's not in your height. It's not in your weight. It's in your mind. So you can see a very small person who has small stature, but is able to do great things. It's not about his height or his weight. It's about his mind. You can see somebody from a very far location. Let's use our continent for example. Somebody from Africa, and you're expecting, oh, these people they can't do anything great. They cannot do this. They cannot do that. But he ends up becoming something significant. It's not about the color of his skin. It's not about where he's from. It's about the content of his mind, the size of his heart, the capacity of his mind, his thought pattern, his perception. Okay, so that is why we're having this conversation, because you're going to be meeting people, your colleagues, and the kids under your care. How are you going to teach them? How are you going to pour this knowledge into them? How are you going to impact into them if you are already looking defeated, worn out, cast down, and thrown away? Because I know from my experience interacting with young people, they see you as a model. They see you as that person I want to become. You are the picture already in their minds. So when they go home to say, Mom, Dad, I want to be like my auntie, I want to be like my uncle, I want to be like my principal. What did they see? Possibly the way you speak, possibly the way you dress, and possibly the way you address them. And they're looking at, well, in 10 years' time, in 12 years' time, in 15 years' time, I would be able to be like this, my auntie. I'll be able to be like this, my uncle. I'll be able to be like my principal. I love the way he conducts himself. I love the way he expresses himself in public. I love the way he exhibits his leadership skills to solve problems. That is who they see. And you just have to become this person who inspires them, even when you've not opened your mouth, but from your character, from your attitude, from how you perceive life, they are able to draw inspiration. All right, so I'm going to cut it here now, and then let's interact. Then I'll come back and we'll wrap it up. Okay. Okay. So Zainab, thank you for joining. When you joined, I was already sharing the story, and okay, fantastic things in the comments. I think this is from Mrs. Haniyat. Okay, I teach in a government school and my salary was coming in regularly. But for me, it was a blessing cause that was when I made the decision to open my special center. Amazing, amazing, amazing. That's an ego thinking. That's the thought of an ego. All right. So Zainab, please could you unmute yourself if you can, and then tell us where you're joining from and your experience so far. But let's know what you do first, then we'll take it from there. Are you able to unmute yourself? Are you still here with us? Zainab Ayola. Are you here with us? I guess she's not here. All right. Okay, so let's have a comment from the story I've shared and from everything. Let's now interact. Mr. Omar, you can unmute yourself. Let's have a chit chat.
Okay. Well, I can hear you.
All right.
Kafo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Mr. Omar. I can hear you loud and clear.
Nice stories.
All right, I can hear you. So, what do you think? What do you think about? What do you think about the eagle and the chicken story?
Yeah. From the first story, I learned that somebody should strive to be in the high level he's supposed to be, and he shouldn't look back. It's always strive, and then the sky will be your limit. That's the story of the ego. And then if you decide to, if you don't have the ego, if you don't have the mentality, the ability to improve, just as you describe the chickens, virtually you'll be like a chicken and you end in the kitchen.
In the kitchen. Yeah.
So this story
true.
really boosts my confidence in striving in whatever situation I found myself, that I should strive to be at the top level. Yes.
Amazing.
That is the
amazing.
story.
Okay, Miss. Okay, all right, go ahead.
Then for the second story,
yeah,
by describing and I'm as you are as you are narrating this story, I'm describing myself to be the lion, and now this gives me confidence that I shouldn't be afraid or lose confidence in whatever situation I found myself, even in the mix of people that are in a high level than me. I should also raise my head high and then have my belief that I will also succeed. Yeah.
Amazing. Great lessons. Thank you very much, Mr. Omar. Okay, Miss Imam. Yeah, let's hear from you from the first and second story.
Okay, for me, thank you once more. For me, and from the first story of the ego, I looked at myself that keep on keeping on, whatever you want to be, on keeping on. And then if you have an opportunity, for a mentorship, okay, or a guardian, a mentor, do not take it for granted. Try to hack into instruction and implement instruction because they are valuable. If the eagle did not listen to the man, the farmer, and try to flap its wings and it moved, it wouldn't have moved, even after being taken from the chicken's den. And then when the eagle went back, what I learned is it's sometimes way too difficult to leave our comfort zone. And then someone said, when you begin to see yourself as you're in a comfort zone and you're relaxed and you're satisfied, there's a problem. So the eagle wanted comfort to continue to have corn and worms, but then we should look ahead, look ahead of what we want to be, who we are, the greatness that is in us, and use that as a motivation to persevere. So with that, that's what I learned. And then from the second story, I learned that it is good to project yourself in the way that you wish to be addressed and seen. The lion, like you told us in the story, is not the wisest, is not the bravest, but the way the lion has presented itself has made the other animals to realize or assumption to assume that he is what he is. And then this gave the lion an edge over the others, because when that understanding from other animals has been established, that the lion is brave, is the king of the jungle, they just tend to be in their nets, in their tents. They don't want to give a try. So it gave the lion an edge to oversee, to keep shining and keep on improving on itself. So I learned that in your little self-motivation, like you said, what you talked to us about, that when we believe we can do it and tell ourselves we can do it, we will not fail. The lion told itself, I can be the king of the jungle, even though I'm not brave. So it has spurred me up to sit more on my toes and try to push myself to do. Then for that I want people to see in me and then work towards achieving it, and keep saying it to myself and try to do it, no matter how difficult it may be. Thank you.
Brilliant. You deserve a standing ovation. So we're going to give you a virtual standing ovation. Thank you very much for sharing those fantastic lessons. And I believe that those who will join this conversation much later will draw inspiration from the lessons you've shared. We are sorry to see Aniyat go. I think her network is really disturbing. And if Zainab Ayola can hear me, please indicate if you can send in a chat, or you can unmute yourself, introduce yourself, because we are actually getting to the final lap for this conversation. And I would really love to hear your voice or see you right in the chat section. Let's just be sure that you're part of this whole thing. Okay, so let me talk about the final lap, and that is how to develop a very strong sense of self-efficacy, personal efficacy, and how it guarantees success at any level, whether you're starting or you just want to reflect back on life and start again, or you just want to push ahead. And one of the things I've observed is that to build a very strong sense of self-efficacy is to first of all love what you do, to love what you do passionately. The love you have for what you do will now help you to remain consistent. It will help you to remain steadfast. It will help you to remain even when things are falling apart, even when people are telling you, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Are you mad? Are you still doing this? The love you have for it will make it to stay put. And that's, remember, personal efficacy is about the ability you have to, the belief you have in your ability to succeed in any situation. So the belief is coming from a place of love. It's like you have a son, you love the son so much. Even when this your son is stubborn, is disobedient, is a pain, you don't throw him away. You don't throw him away. Even when he
Yeah.
does something outside and people are bringing reports to you, teachers are calling and say, do you know what your son did? Neighbors are saying, this your son is stubborn, he's going to corrupt our. You don't throw him away. Why? You love him. It's love. That kind of love is what I'm talking about. You must love what you do passionately. And that's the first thing you need to do in order to build a strong sense of personal efficacy. And if you are able to demonstrate this love for what you do, for your career, your family, your business, and ultimately the work you do, you would see how that you have this self-motivation roaring up from the inside of you. You don't even need much external motivation from anybody because it's coming from the inside. You love this thing
Yeah.
passionately, and you know that even though it's falling apart, it's not giving you what you're expecting. However, you're not giving up on it. Okay, so love, and then the second thing is uh, being able to celebrate your little wins, being able to celebrate your little achievements. And this comes from a place of healthy self-esteem. It builds your self-esteem. It makes it very healthy. When you celebrate your little wins, when you celebrate the achievements you've recorded, no matter how small, no matter how small, just like Mrs. Imam said, during the pandemic, she was able to, start baking, doing a whole lot of things to support her salary and all that. Family was moving on, career was moving on because you had to do virtual stuff. That's being, if you look at yourself and then you pat yourself on your back and say you did well done, it boosts your self-esteem. And by then you have developed a stronger sense of personal efficacy, you know, and then you are like, okay, other people gave up, other people threw in the towel, other people said to hell with this thing, like I'm going to sit and wait and watch how my life will pine away, how I'm going to just die, and all that. So celebrate your little wins, no matter how little, you're always celebrating it. We are not in a habit of doing that. It's where we've hit our $10 million or built an estate and we have done this and done that before we say, oh, yeah, no, it's not supposed to be so. While you're looking at the big picture, you're also celebrating the little milestones. Okay, you said, okay, I'm going to complete a book, I'm going to read a book, and you completely you read that book. Celebrate it. Okay, celebrate it. You said, okay, my school is going to come at least first 10 in this competition, and then they came maybe 9 or 8. Fine, celebrate it. Once you celebrate your little wins, it gives you the subconsciously you want to reach for more. Subconsciously, you want to reach for greater heights. So if I'm able to achieve this, it means that I'm able to achieve more. That's what celebrating your little wins does for you. It stretches your mind to want to do more. It stretches your mind to want to reach for more. If I was able to come fifth in class, it means I can come first. If I was able to do a naira in a year, dear, like I'm able to do this. I'm able to do this. sorry about the network failure. So it gives you that, it stretches your mind. It stretches your mind. And one good thing about your mind being stretched is that it can never return back to the original size. Once your mind is stretched, it never comes back. You see achieving great things as a normal thing. You see it as something you can just easily walk over. Now, if another pandemic comes, we're not praying for that, but I'm sure that Mr. Omar and Mrs. Iman will not be afraid because they've been able to overcome the first one. They were able to navigate the first one. What happened to your mind? It stretched, it opened up, and it has not returned to the size it was before 2020. Now it's like this, it's wide open. If any pandemic comes again, you already know the strategies to apply in order to keep surviving, in order to keep paying salaries, in order to keep supporting your various families. That is what it does for you. So from today, I want you to celebrate your little wins, no matter how little they may appear, no matter how insignificant you think these things are. Celebrate your little wins. It helps in building your personal efficacy, and it will ultimately translate to success as what you do. Okay, so these are the 2 points I'm going to share with you tonight, and I'll now let the room open for you to also share with me how the conversation has been so far, and then we'll call it a wrap. All right, let's start with Mr. Umar before, so let me start with Mrs. Iman.
Yes, I'll start by clapping for you. What an amazing, inspirational teacher you are. I really
Thank you very much.
benefit from your experience, and it really adds to my confidence now. Thank you very much for everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mrs. Imam.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Yeah, okay, so I just wrapped up, and I would love to hear your feedback, the overall session, the conversation, and what you've decided to do, going forward.
Okay, well, it was awesome, and I'm glad that I'm here today, day 2. I wasn't able to join in the first day.
Wow.
The class was deep. It helped to improve my open-mindedness. So it means the class was sound and knowledge was passed on, and the purpose or the goal was achieved because I benefited greatly. Then I want to thank you for the way you present the talk. It was well understood. Then for me, personal efficacy, it has collided with my thinking of whatever anyone thinks about you or whatever the situation is towards others, it is inconsequential only when you move. When you stay in a place, it becomes consequential. So the personal efficacy has come in tune with my ideology, like what I used to think about, that situation at hand is inconsequential depending on our move. So thank you very much for helping me think deeper and keeping my mind wide open. Thank you very much, sir.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you. And I wish you the very best in your career. Mr. Omar, it will be a pleasure to see you, both of you in person, and every other person on this call. Will have something to do, with the teachers in your school, your students, and all that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night. Have a nice day.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Okay, thank you so much, Val. It has been a wonderful presentation. I must say, I didn't talk throughout. I really enjoyed it. I was flowing. And of course, I really wish most educators are here to learn this. Most people, they have limitations in their thinking, their ability to deliver. Some of them do not see beyond the classroom. No, they do not see it beyond their capacity to deliver more, even at the global stage. And so I'm so glad that we have achieved one of our goals tonight for this workshop. It's really interesting that to see us boost the confidence of educators just to stress themselves beyond the classroom and do something more profitable and productive. And that's one of the goals of this workshop. And I'm very glad we have achieved it tonight. It was a succinct, an excellent delivery, well constructed, and of course the results effective. I can see even for myself. So you really did a wonderful job.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's
I
my pleasure.
I must say kudos to you, and I hope everyone also learned one or two things. My take home, yes, yeah. So my take home for tonight will just be that as an educator now, you have been exposed to a lot of things, and of course you should know by now that you're limiting. You are not supposed to limit yourself. You are an educator does not mean you cannot be global. Does not mean you can be local. You're an educator, you can reach beyond the classroom. The confidence to do some of the things that you have not done before, some of the things that you have been thinking, sometimes some people will think, because I'm a teacher, I don't think I can do this. You're a teacher does not mean you should be poor. And so a teacher does not mean you should take some steps to even further your career and not just become a name in your school alone. You can become a name in your state, in the country, even at the global stage. These are what personal believing in your own capacity to deliver as far as your knowledge, your expertise, your skills are concerned. So these are some of the things that this series have exposed us to. And I believe that as educators, we can move beyond the normal and begin to do the extraordinary. Thank you so much, Val, once again. I really appreciate it. And I hope all educators will take from this and begin to do the next one.
Hope so.
Thank you so
much. Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Yeah, so tomorrow, by God's grace, we are going to be having another session tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, social media branding. Yesterday, we did personal branding for educators. Today, we did personal efficacy. Tomorrow, we are going to be doing social media branding. We are going to be having 3 sessions tomorrow. I'll be taking a section of personal development planning, and personal leadership. So these are topics I'll be taking, and of course, social media branding will be done by Mr. Michael Fashomo, 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So thank you everyone for joining. For those that could not join, I will give them a replay of this section so they can watch. And Mr. Val, if you have any material on self-efficacy or personal efficacy that you think can be useful for the participant, please, you can drop it with me. I will drop it with them so that they can also learn more. Thank you so much. We are ending the session for tonight. Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a lovely night rest.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Thank you.